Me and my drums in the garage, that's where my love started. You know, before any gig, before any lights, before any camera, you know, that type of thing. So my advice is stay human, because I'm Chris now, and I'm the same Chris as I was on the drums you'll see on the footage. I still gotta be me, you know? And I don't like that when people get on stage and all of a sudden they're this, but then when they get off, they're this. And I'm like, I don't understand that. Like, so is there a third person when you get home?
Yeah. Like authenticity, basically. Yeah.
I'm just like, just be you, man.
Hi, I'm Norm. I was born and raised in Japan, and I'm half Japanese. When I was a kid, I took a couple strings off an old guitar, and that was the beginning of my career as a bass player. Two of my favorite things are music and sushi. Welcome to my home. I'm Norm Stockton, and this is Grooves and Sushi. Today's spectacular lineup of world-class players includes, on guitar, the entirely ferocious Mr. Mark Lettieri, on drums, the unreasonably talented Mr. Chris Coleman, and on keys, the musical force of nature, Mr. Rob Rinderer. Chef Kevin is busy preparing sushi on a level that's almost difficult to describe, but let's just say it's very, very good. In this episode, we'll be letting loose with a bombastic tune called With a Touch of Avalanche. As always, while a few of us have worked together in the past, this lineup of musicians has never played together, and the song has never been performed before this taping.
Time you had sushi?
I'm trying to think when was the first time I had
Was it in Michigan?
No. I wouldn't eat it.
Straight out of the lake.
No.
I don't know what this is, but
Sushi. Where do you live? Oh, I live in Detroit. No, I'm good. I want to say Canada. I think it was Toronto.
Yeah.
I remember I was on the East, but it wasn't, I don't think it was US. So it might have been Toronto after a gig or something. Everybody was like, sushi. I was like, okay, finally, I've been hearing about this, you know.
You got pressured into it with the road meal.
And it was interesting for me, you know, for me at the first time. Like, you know, growing up in a traditional Southern-based home, I'm like, everything's fried. You know, so I was like, so, okay. Yeah, let me know.
that's funny.
You good? You good? And I was just like, watch the
I'm mostly here for the hang.
So I had a few pieces and I was like, okay. But it took me a while to like warm all the way up to it.
Your job is to make everybody else in the band sound better. Sometimes when you're starting out, you're like trying to make yourself sound good, but that isn't necessarily making everything sound better. And that took me a while to figure that out. But I think once I figured that out, that was like a big thing.
That's sort of like unselfish playing, right? Kind of other people focused.
Yeah. I also, on the other side of that, though, like there's this thing where people say, well, less is more. Well, not always. Like sometimes less is less. And sometimes you have to step up and bring it. You know, it's like the moment, we want you to step forward and do something now, and you got to have something ready to do that. So it's not that you're not playing with chops at times, but it's just like the overall focus is making the whole thing sound great.
Yeah.
Learn the power of no, you know? Like, early on, I said yes to everything, which is good to an extent. At some point, you can't do that anymore. Because there's only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much energy you have. Even if you're the greatest player in the world, you can't remember how to do everything. Something will suffer. And it sucks when it's something like family time, or, you know, you aren't present with your kid because you're on your phone texting about a gig that you probably didn't really need to take.
Yeah.
You know, stuff like that.
Was it sort of feeling pressure that hey, this is what I'm doing for a living, so I have to say
totally.
yes to everything?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. If I say no, my career will stop. It's like that sort of major fear where you're like, well, I just have to take everything because if I don't take it, somebody else will take it, and then I won't get it, and then I won't be able to do this, that, and the other. That's not really how it works, you know. If you are in this because you're called to do this and because it's been put on your heart to do it, a way will be made for you to be able to do it.
I got you.
You know, and I'm still learning how to do it.
That's kind of an ongoing thing, I think.
I think so.
If you're a
I'd imagine
freelancer
so.
especially, it's like being able to just say, yeah, there'll be other stuff. But,
Right.
Yeah.
But that's a hard thing to do.
Not white knuckle it.
Yes, it's fear, man.
I think that's actually like your faith comes in right there, right? It's like, am I going to get provided for if I say no to this?
Yep.
I come from a very musical family. Grandfather was a pastor. 11 kids. My Aunt Beverly passed at birth, so 10. 6 girls, 4 boys, 22 grandchildren.
Wow.
So,
Wow, full on.
yeah, and he put all of them through college and worked full time as well.
Amazing.
And, you know, growing up in the church, it was never, Chris is the drummer. It's like, no, the drums need to be played. Somebody play them, you know. So something was always played. That's why I grew up playing multiple or dabbing on multiple instruments, you know, early on. And my dad's a twin. They had this kind of bet, you know, whoever has the firstborn son gets the other's instrument.
Huh.
So I was born first, so I got the drums because my dad's twin brother, Richie, is the drummer of the family.
Oh, wow.
So he comes to the hospital with snares and sticks, you know. And he's like, my dad was like, what's this, you know? He was like, you forgot, you know? He said, oh, yeah. He was like, oh, yeah. And my mom was like, oh, no. You know, because he's about to push me out, you know, this type of thing. So my dad has stacks of records. Awesome. You know, Shaka, same thing, Motown, you know, anything of that era. He has some classic rock, you know, that type of thing. But Tower Power was like their favorites, you know. So I grew up with a lot of, you know, TP. They toured professionally right after high school, right out of high school, top 40 wedding band type, you know, thing. And And then the three of them, my Uncle Jay, my Uncle Richie, and my dad, they call themselves the Brothers Three. They had a gospel group. So that's where I really started getting my digs in, you know, at a young age, you know. They would open up for people like the Winings, you know, in Detroit, and Vanessa Bell, you know. I'm like 5, 6 years old.
That's awesome.
Playing the groove, you know, that type of thing, so.
But you started when you were 2, I understood.
Yeah, I started playing when I was 2.
Jeez.
Like, was that in services?
Yeah, my uncle would actually sit me on his knee, you know, and I had what they call a Jap fro. It's not an afro. Afro's perfect. Jap fro is Jap. It's like, it's just there. It just exists, you know. And I had a pacifier, you know.
Amazing.
Oh, that's awesome.
You know, my little Jap fro in the wind, you know. So that's how I got my start.
Snarky Puppy, Grammy winners, and you just got your latest Grammy, right? Yeah, congratulations,
Thanks,
man.
Man.
Thank you.
Congrats, bro.
Live at the Royal Albert.
Royal Albert Hall.
Dude.
It's a big place. Couple people.
Well, first of all, how did the Snarky Puppy thing come about? And
They were students at the University of North Texas. Excuse me. And they had started up there, Michael, the bass player, just put the band together, just like you would start any band. But I met them because they were coming down from Denton to sit in at all the R&B and soul jam sessions in Dallas. That's kind of how a lot of the band's sound developed. It was like the kind of jazz school thing, but then the R&B gospel Dallas sound. So you get this kind of mixture of fusion and hip hop and funk, and you know, I brought some rock into it and things like that. So I just ended up in the band because they needed a guitar player for a couple gigs. And but I knew the cats just from playing around town.
did they have a guitar player before?
They did. And those two guys are still in the band.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's why the band is so big, is that like, if you don't want to do it, you just don't do it anymore. But everybody wants to do it, so the family just grew, you know?
This is like
This is insane.
Thank you.
Yeah, bro, this is crazy.
Yeah, Kevin.
Thank you. Thank you.
Knocked it out the park. As I said, I don't do sushi all the time, but this is killer. The first time I showed up to record with Pete, it was either the snowstorm or Tall had injured herself and she wasn't able to come.
You guys up at Paisley for this?
Yeah, we were at Paisley. So this particular night, it got awkward just for a hot second because he's like, you know, hold on. He's like, have you spoken with her? did you contact her? And I'm like, I have not spoken with her. I could text her. It's okay. Right? And he wasn't mad. He was just like, it is what it is, you know? And I think she tried to contact someone and maybe they didn't get in touch with him or whatever, but she's not like that. She's cool, you know? So he's like, okay. you could either hang out here or go back to the hotel. He said, we're gonna have dinner. You know, you're welcome to stay. Cool, all right. Wow, I'm actually gonna hang out. Okay, this is... So about 30 minutes later, because I was finally got a chance to go into where the dining room is, which is kind of like, at that time, it was the museum. His personal, he had the motorcycle from Purple Rain. I mean, he had this big screen, video montage of all kinds of stuff he's ever done. The court gesture chair, all this type of stuff, right? He walks by me, he says, do you know Larry? And I'm like, man, the Michigan in me came out. I'm like, man, you know how many Larrys it is in this world, bro? Like, I was kind of shocked that he would ask me a random question like, what you mean, I got a cousin named Larry. Right?
Was it Larry Graham?
Yes,
Yeah.
it was Larry. And I said, which Larry? He said, Larry.
There are no other Larrys.
Right, there are no
It's
other
a
Larrys.
Prince. That's
So honestly, the last I knew of Larry Graham, he lived in Oakland or the Bay Area.
Right,
rather.
yeah.
So I never would have thought it was Larry. Larry stayed right around the corner. He'd moved to Minnesota. I didn't
Did
know
he
this
really?
at the time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was the only time I was like, yeah, I know Larry. Like, oh God, please don't prove me wrong later. You know, I'm like,
It's the right Larry.
bro, maybe it clicked right before he showed up. I think I was on my way to the
Oh,
bathroom.
he came over.
I said, wait, did he mean Larry? And as soon as I said it, Larry walked in the door with him and his wife. That was my first time meeting him. And I was like,
Right.
That guy looks just like Larry.
so I go to the bathroom, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm going, keep it together, keep it together, keep it together.
Amazing.
Prince and Larry Graham at the same table. Okay, keep it together, keep it together. Don't say anything stupid. You're younger, so no story will work. Just listen.
You have not lived enough life.
Right, just
Appropriately with
smile
these two
and-
people.
Hey, that's exactly how I felt, bro. So long story short, we have a dinner. Tina, his wife, comes. We are kicking it and having a good time. And Larry asked me a few questions, and then he comes, he says, you guys tired? and you could tell the way Larry went, no, what you got in mind, right? We end up jamming.
Oh, man.
Just me, SPDS pad, I found the claps, I found some bongos, you know, the you know, that was on them, the SPDS pad. I'm like, oh, they got all the Prince samples. Okay, cool.
Dang.
So Larry grabs the bass. He just grooving, right? Now, and Prince went nuts. He jumped from the keyboard, guitar, solo, and it's just us three. And I'm going, no, this is not happening.
Wow.
I'm like this, like, this ain't real.
This is
I'm
super.
dreaming, bro.
When I watched like the just mind-blowing YouTube clip of Lingus,
Sure.
as somebody who's been doing this for a while, I'm watching this and I'm thinking just there's so many questions just about logistics and how are they tracking this with
Yeah.
that many people in that room and what's the monitor situation? But
Yeah.
the big thing was, so you guys were, you went there to track the project. So you guys had already been in rehearsals and stuff.
Kind of.
When there's
There's a major caveat to this, but I'll let you finish.
when Michael has new tunes, is it like, hey, here's charts, go learn this stuff? Or how does that work?
So there are no charts. It's all demos. Everybody learns everything by ear. half those songs were written while we were there by various
They were
people.
brand new.
So we would like kind of rehearse them the morning of the possibly recording them. The other thing is the original drummer that was supposed to do the session at the last minute was not able to make it. So we were rehearsing for about 3 days without a drummer. Larnell Lewis got the demos the day before he flew out. Listened to the stuff on the plane from Canada, came in, we rehearsed that morning, and then started tracking
quick
the
study.
record.
Yeah.
So we didn't even know, I mean, like, we didn't know if stuff was even gonna sound good, because we weren't playing any of it with a drummer.
Wow.
You know, and the drums in that band is such a big part of the sound, obviously, and so it's like, we didn't really know what we were doing or what was gonna happen with the band, or, you know, we weren't thinking about world tours or Grammy or whatever, all that, you know, all that
Y'all
stuff. It
trying to
was just
have
like, let's just do some crazy stuff and see if we can pull it off and maybe sound good at the same time, you know?
I love it. Well, it worked, man.
Yeah, it
Yeah,
works.
that's a cool record.
Album after album, I'm like, what in the world?
So are the demos like pretty fleshed out?
So it depends who's writing them. Some guys like to have everything like really particular, and other guys it's more bare bones and kind of open to interpretation and stuff. But somewhere in the last 25 years, music, I think people understood or started to believe that music should just either be free or it's just sort of on the same level as, there's a really great Vince Gill quote where he's like, I could put out a song on iTunes and it costs, this is not the right quote, but I'm paraphrasing it. He's like, I could put out a song on iTunes that I spent a year of my life putting together with the world's best musicians for 99 cents, or you could download an app that makes fart sounds for the same amount of money. They're both 99 cents.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh God.
Yeah.
Oh God.
That's perspective. Wow.
Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but you know, I think about that and it's like, yeah, maybe that's sort of where everything is, that, you know, it's like fart app music. So now that we're all in a really great mood, what is it that we're eating? It's an interesting dynamic when you put it all into perspective about like what your calling is. When you align those two things, when you align your faith and the idea that you've put your trust in Christ, and that's the hardest thing. I know we were talking about like saying no, right? It shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah.
If you've already made that decision.
It is
right?
the practical part
You
of
already
that.
did the biggest decision. So beyond that, it's like you should be okay with being like, yeah, something else will happen, right? But that's the worldly dilemmas that we deal with. But yeah, I mean, for me, it's like anytime the cards are stacked against me, the account is drained, the calendar is vanished, whatever it is, I just kind of let go and let God. I mean, I know that sounds like something you'd find on a pillow in a Bed Bath & Beyond or something, or
What a
you know,
t-shirt.
but it's true. I know it's absolutely true. That's probably why it's on so many pillows.
Yeah.
But you know, this past year, just like I've talked to my wife a ton about this stuff, just because we had a lot of home repairs we had to make, which like during a gigless pandemic is like you don't want to be spending thousands and thousands
Yeah,
of
those are
dollars
big chunks.
to redo your plumbing, you know, which was like stuff we were having to do. but
But it's essential.
It's essential.
So you gotta do
so
it,
you got to
yeah.
do it. But it was like, how are we going to do this? And then something would happen to where we would be able to do it.
Yeah.
And, you know, to me, that was just proof that, like, when you make that decision to follow Christ, those things will align themselves the way they're supposed to happen.
That's what's up.
Even if you cannot see it,
Yeah.
you know, right away. That's what faith is. You know what I mean? It's like, it's the belief in something that you can't necessarily see, but you know is real. So I think about that a lot.